After yesterday's interlude, we return to the opening of the 7 seals on the scroll in the hand of God. It is so easy to get mired in the vivid imagery and details of Revelation that we forget where we are in the whole narrative. So, a quick recap. John is writing a letter addressed to 7 churches, describing what he has seen in a vision of the heavenly court. It is written in the form of an apocalypse, a well-known literary form in that time. The backdrop of the letter is the persecution facing the church at a particular point in time, namely when Emperor Domitian of the Roman Empire required everyone to call him Lord and God, clearly a non-starter for Christians. As a result of Domitian's demand, Christians faced a difficult choice: capitulate to Domitian and deny the faith, or remain firm in the faith and refuse Domitian's demand and thereby risk torture or even death. In the portion of Revelation we've been reading, John sees the Lord holding a scroll which is sealed with 7 seals. The only one worthy to break open the seals and open the scroll itself is the risen Christ, described both as the Lion of Judah and as the Lamb of God. We come now to the opening of the 7th seal. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your Daily Devotional for Tuesday, November 2nd, 2021. When Christ opens the 7th seal, things get really interesting. There is a lot of vivid imagery that can frighten someone who doesn't understand the pastoral nature of this letter. The most important detail is that out of the 7th seal come 7 angels, each blowing a trumpet. By now you should easily see the repeated pattern using the number 7 in this letter, a number which in the ancient world referred to a sense of wholeness or completeness. So the 7 churches represent not only the particular 7 churches addressed, but also the entire Church of Christ at the time. Likewise, the 7 seals represent the message of God's judgment on the world that unfolds as each seal is opened. And though the images are vivid, the underlying message is that God is in ultimate control of all things, in spite of the fact that it appears the world is controlled by demonic forces. Now the angels begin blowing their trumpets, each in turn. I won't read them all, but let me just read a portion of this section. Now the 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets made ready to blow them. The first angel blew his trumpet, and there came hail and fire mixed with blood, and they were hurled to the earth. And 1/3 of the earth was burned up, and 1/3 of the trees were burned up, and all green grass was burned up. The second angel blew his trumpet, and something like a great mountain, burning with fire, was thrown into the sea. 1/3 of the sea became blood, 1/3 of the living creatures in the sea died, and 1/3 of all ships were destroyed. The third angel blew his trumpet, and a giant star fell from heaven, blazing like a torch, and it fell on 1/3 of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. 1/3 of the waters became wormwood, and many died from the water because it was made bitter. The fourth angel blew his trumpet, and 1/3 of the sun was struck, and 1/3 of the moon, and 1/3 of the stars, so that 1/3 of their light was darkened. 1/3 of the day was kept from shining, and likewise the night. And so it goes. Disaster after disaster, woe upon woe, plague upon plague. And that final term should give us a clue about this, for these are nothing really new. They are highly symbolic representations of the kind of judgment God is preparing for the demonic forces in the world. I say it's nothing new because we should hear overtones of the Exodus story here, and of the plagues God sent upon the Egyptians. The disasters here are meant to remind us of exactly this, that when the children of Israel found themselves enslaved in Pharaoh's Egypt, God intervened on their behalf and set them free. As vivid and as dramatic and even violent as these images are, they are pastoral reminders to Christian people that while their situation seems dire, God intends to set things right. Using imagery that calls to mind God's mighty acts in freeing the Israelites from their Egyptian slavery is a powerful method for driving home exactly this point. And by the way, the fact that 1/3 of things is destroyed is a way to remind us that not everything is destroyed. When we return tomorrow, we'll look at what happens when the final 3 trumpets are blown. Hint, expect more of the same. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.